Coming up next on RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live, we're heading down under as the Vikings tackle the mountain at Bathurst. Join us for the Nordic Challenge in just a few moments' time.
Åh, vad tråkigt. Det här måste du fixa på en gång, annars blir det dyrt.
Steinsprut får du uansett hvordan du kjører. Ris Bilglass fikser steinsprut kostnadsfritt ved kasko eller delkasko. Ring 0909 eller besøk bilglass.no.
Welcome to RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live. I'm Richard Whiteford, joined by Jake Sperry here as we bring you the Nordic Challenge round number 2 from Mount Panorama here, better known as Bathurst. The Nordic Challenge, of course, brought to you by CU, Ris Bilglass and Team Vikings. Jake, well, round 1 was exciting. Could anyone beat Blackstar Racing in round number 2?
There are a lot of new names here trying to make challenges, and most of them are actually coming out of the finish areas here. You look at the likes of, say, Kim Eriksson jumping in here, of course, Blackstar himself. But you have drivers like Timu Valkjärvi who will try and do very well. Drivers like Matti Kaidasoja of Vendaval as well, who will look to put the challenge in here today. There is a lot that can happen, a lot that will happen. And, of course, Bathurst is one very difficult mistress to tame.
It certainly is. Well, look at the warm-up times, and it's some very familiar names up there. A lot of Blackstar cars up towards the front. Some names are looking pretty strong here. Niklas Helm, Wilhelm Wilberg, Carl Fredrik Herzog looking very strong. Voxberg and Vatamaki also looking like they have some claws for this one, Jake. And well, Bathurst. This place is never easy, especially in GT cars. And these guys do have to make a pit stop, of course, partway through this one. 45 minutes of racing, fuel for about 30.
Yeah, and we've just seen Joel Voxberg as well in the 9 actually just make a mistake coming onto that very difficult one-track line of pit road. It's actually quicker to get yourself down onto pit road if you're not careful than to take the lines that you normally take to finish the lap. So that might be something that drivers may be looking to exploit when it comes down to getting onto pit road. But something I do know is the driver of Hans Gunnar Hansen is struggling with a few issues here, Rachel, and will start from pit road of his own accord.
It's looking that way, so we'll have to see if he can get that car sorted out in time for the race. But, of course, the start of a lap here, very tricky, especially in a big group of cars, Jake. And, well, speaking of that, we'll have a quick reminder of the points after the first round here. At the moment, with thanks to mostly Blackstar Racing's entries at the top of the field last time out, in terms of our national team points, Finland on 287, Norway 243, Sweden 115, Denmark 41, and Iceland on 0. So some work for Iceland to do, of course. But we will run you through the qualifying, of course, very quickly now before we get racing. Joni Häkkinen on the pole tonight again, second time now for him. Kim Eriksson second place, Juuso Hietala in the third spot, Mikko Nurmi in fourth, Jari Tettinen in fifth place, Matti Kaidasoja in sixth, Carl Fredrik Herzog, great qualifying from him, seventh place, Nicholas Helm in eighth, Marcus Mannion in ninth, and Timu Valkyrjärvi in the 10th spot for Glacier. So more Finns entering this one. Rest of those positions on your screen as Jake getting ready for that green flag.
Yeah, we are here, and of course it is an extended wait here on the flag, so you can see really close and a long distance.
Certainly is, and the green flag does fly here, and look at the number of cars there from Blackstar at the front. Top 6 cars at the moment from that one team. No, top 5, I apologise. This is a huge launch by Joni Häkkinen. Huge runners. Eriksson and Hietala side by side behind him. Nurmi and Tettinen also side by side from Blackstar. As we're going to head up mounted straightaway here at Bathurst towards turn number 2. And they're going to still go too wide because they're Finns and they can do that. But they're going to get through as fast as they can. As making a move through is Matti Kaidasoja. He's already taken advantage of the pace here. That 24 car pushing himself hard here. Up towards Castrol cutting now. They will come on the first lap here. Field all surviving so far as they climb the infamous mountain of Bathurst.
Yeah, they've survived here just for the moment. And well,
big crash, Jake. Huge crash. And that was, as we said, it's all been going very cleanly. The 008 of Matthias Norling, we'll try and get rebooking in now, unfortunately makes contact with the car, the 25 machine there of Joachim Svensson, who bounces off the wall, spins him, and 5 or 6 other cars plow into this, and the ensuing wreck, including 2 of the Team Vikings entries. And these responses, unfortunate for them, as about 6 or 7 cars caught in that, with 3 or 4 behind it, having to stop to try and get through the traffic jam as the track itself was physically blocked. That's going to hugely affect our race.
It is here. It's just completely wiped out the mid to lower part here of the field. So that's going to be something then that opens things up as Markku Manninen then tries to go down the inside of Nicholas Helm, then down the Conrad straight, looking for this big right-hander into the chase. And where you can see there backing out of it early was Markku Manninen, and actually car spins behind. That's Valkyrjärvi who tags the driver of Vastamäki then, and there's more contact then through as Jankovic gets up on 2 wheels and back across the circuit, clipping another driver there of what I believe was Andbjorn Learning as well. So a big mess. They head to the chase for the first time.
Oh, it really is. And there's another crash by a couple of cars who are a little bit further back down in the run past skyline there, as we're going to get back to your leaders here. Just in a replay of that one there. Joni Häkkinen out front now. Gap is 1.14 seconds. Kim Eriksson second place. Juuso Hietala in third. Mikko Nurmi in fourth. Fifth place, Jari Tettinen. Then it's Kaidasoja, Herzog, Helm, Mannion, and Leskela. I do apologise, folks, if I butcher some of these names. I'm terrible. I'm English. This happens. But the top 10 is rather spread out now across the mountain as they've come round for the second lap here, Jake. And we're already a couple of minutes in here, so this is not going to be a huge race in terms of laps, but a lot of on-throttle time on these big straights, and no time to relax on the mountain.
No, there isn't here, and what we did see in the opening lap is just how difficult cold tyres can be, especially in the early stages. And while this Porsche certainly does have the ability to keep itself quite planted, but of course not as much as the other GT3 machines here, doesn't have as much aero push to really put itself down. And I'd actually watch out for the driver of Kim Eriksson here, Rachel, because we saw what Eriksson could do in the RaceSpot race day at Monza earlier on, and it just seemed for Eriksson that a big spin that happened out of Ascari might still play in the mind here from today's racing.
It certainly does. Of course, we also saw what Joni Häkkinen can do in that very same event, and things are certainly playing out their way at the moment. Blackstar Racing locking out those top 6 spots already and running in a kind of conservation mode now. The field very spread out here, Jake. I can afford to be a bit more patient. We'll look back a little bit further. Some of the guys who had cracking qualifying today, including the likes of Herzog. He's up there for Vikings. Did 2 of their cars, of course, in that big initial wreck. But he's up in 7th place, the highest non-Blackstar car, well, after Kaidasoja, actually. So a great performance right now from him. much better than his run at Zandvoort.
Yeah, much better than the run at Zandvoort that we have just seen. So doing a very good job of things then, just getting himself back up then towards the top of the field here. And that's the thing about these circuits. Sometimes they suit one driver, other times they suit another. And the challenge like this circuit, when you've got the walls an inch away from you, where you can literally be the cause of life and death in the terms of just 1 inch mistake in terms of the way that you drive the corner. Some drivers thrive on that challenge, other ones shy away, and I think that some drivers have got themselves up towards the near of the front by doing that. Joel Voxberg now trying to make the chase here on the driver, I believe that is Jonas Vastamäki.
I was just looking at that one, Jake, because it's 3 cars here. Voxberg, Vastamäki and Sanka just up ahead of them there. 3 cars closing in here, and the faster car does look to be Voxberg at the moment. Catching Vastamäki now as they head through Castrol Cutting. Oh, time lost there by Willy Schanke. It's costing quite a lot, but passing on the climb up the mountain, Jake, very difficult to do, even if someone's made a mistake. So hard to get past, and well, they're all having to bottle up and lift off the gas here.
Yeah, it's one-line suits all up the mountain, and that's why you only see 2 real main overtaking opportunities around this circuit. You might be able to pinch one down into Skyline, but you've got to be an incredibly brave driver to make one of those work. But you could see for the moment just how much everyone just got chopped up then, and they both lose a lot of time to Tor Anders Berven there in the 16, who's up already 6 positions on the race so far.
Certainly as he's moving forwards very rapidly in this one, as the guys behind him there, very close. We could see a move here. We'll keep our eyes on the 9 of Voxberg. Already very close to Vastamäki's 790 here as they'll come down Conrad. You can see him in the draft there, closing in. Will we see him go for it at the King? Not yet. He's waiting in line. Not going to go for it. Will he dive in the braking zone? He does look like he's setting himself to go for it, but no. Changes his mind at the last moment. Patient run here by Voxberg. Maybe if going for turn 1, slightly better opportunity there if you get the run, Jake.
Yeah, you might get a better opportunity coming out of 1, heading yourself onto what is going to be the mountain straight, because that run up towards turn number 2, it's uphill, so the draft gives yourself more of an advantage because you're putting in a lot more work using the air and using the actual elevation to your advantage, because you're able to go quicker than the driver ahead using that air to punch through. And you can see for Schanke then just waiting in 12th position right now. Vastamäki's got to get close, but at the moment he just doesn't seem to be close enough in terms of the battle. Also keep an eye on Helm versus Herzog versus Mananen as well, because this battle here between 8th, 9th and 10th here, deciding the top 10, shall we say, is really something that could hot up then towards the pit stop window.
Certainly is, and speaking of silent Finns, there's a car coming up behind this group, including Voxberg, Vastamäki and Schanke. That is Teemu Valkojärvi. He's catching now. The Glacier Racing entry there is coming up on this trio of cars here. Looking like he wants to get involved in this. As we are looking at this group, he said just about the top 10, Jake. Well, look at Berven. He's on his own right now, as is Wilberg. Mananen, Helm and the rest, though, they're closing in together as well. That's going to be one that we'll keep our eyes on. Back towards the front. Häkkinen, completely clear. About 2 seconds now. Kim Eriksson second place. Juuso Hidala in at 3rd spot. Jari Tätinen in at 4th. And Matika de Soja with Carl Fredrik Herzog. The Team Vikings entry there in that 7th spot. Let's not forget, of course, Team Vikings, Nordic endurance racing team. They're always looking for nice racing challenges and drivers interested in endurance racing, and they're one of the series sponsors here, Jake.
Yeah, they are here, and they'll be looking to try and get themselves maybe a couple of drivers in with them. Maybe they can use this as a scouting tool to really bring some drivers up who are bringing themselves a challenge. Maybe drivers who are quicker, drivers who may be a little bit slower, but do a very good job in what they do very well. So in terms of that, maybe the Vikings team might find themselves a bit in an advantage. But what I have been noticing, though, with the drivers up towards the front of the field is that now that they start to spread out, they will be, just like what happened at Zandvoort, very comfortable just to sit and try and run the pace of Kai de Soja behind. The problem with that, though, Rachel, is the moment you take your foot off the gas up this mountain, you could run into issues. Häkkinen here has himself a bit of lap track in front of him. That is Matthias Norling.
He does indeed. There's a few cars actually not running. Norling is one of the ones about to go a lap down, but at the moment it's Christian Roslund Nielsen is out, as is Joku Lescala, Marcus Hagman, Joachim Svensson, and Martin Telgaard, all out of the race so far. 5 cars, and we'll look at this one. Vastamaki, Voxberg and Schanker there on top of each other here, as also Valkiavi catching up from behind. That trio at the Castrol Cutting were very, very close there, Jake.
Yeah, they really were. You can see there just a small tag at the wall then from the driver of Vastamaki. And you can see Voxberg trying to go down the inside at Sulman Park through the Frog Hollow. Unable to make something happen here. And again, another little tag to the wall. So you can see they are pushing here. They are trying too much and all over the curb as they head towards Skyline there. As now Vastamaki trying everything just to hold Voxberg behind. And this is holding up Valkiavi here. Look how much in that last section there Schanker's got away. But Schanker hits the wall as well in terms of this battle.
He certainly does, and there seems to be a lot of pace dropping down here, which is allowing, of course, Valkiavi to catch up at the back of this group. Down Conrad, they'll all have an opportunity here, but the biggest one will go to Voxberg. Joel Voxberg here, about to catch up. Good run here on Conrad, but again, can he make it happen before we get to the chase?
That's going to be the question here. Yeah, downhill section, then right-hander of the chase, and now you've got to get yourself onto the brakes. He looks to the inside, and he keeps the nose in down the brakes, but he gets it all wrong on the curb, and will start to lose a couple of positions. Now Valkiavi then trying to get back in onto the fight, then in the number 70 Glacier Racing Machine. We'll look at the final corner, and Murray's decides against it, though, Rachel, looking for a better opportunity and something more clear-cut.
So he does a big wiggle there by Voxberg, and that will cost him the racing line. And some momentum there to Valkiavi. Yavi on the outside, can he carry the momentum round? He does. And a faster, wider exit keeps him the speed. He'll clear Joel Voxberg there. Taking that spot moves him up to the 14th position.
Yeah, it does there, and up to P14 then he goes, and well, that was a very, very comfortable overtake, you could say, for Team Valkiavi. Not done, though. He's stuck on the outside of turn number 2 here, and Voxberg's just going to go straight to the inside because Valkiavi had to lift off everything there, Rachel, just running too wide into a very difficult cutting corner. And well, actually, yeah, Griffin's Bend, even as I correct myself, just running into a few issues here, getting held up in cars that he might feel are slightly slower than him, and maybe getting a little bit impatient, hot under the collar, shall we say, and maybe just needs to cool things down right now as Mikko Nurmi actually has crashed out of the event.
He has. We'll try and find out what happened to Mikko Nurmi. That's a big name dropping out. One of the guys from Black Star Racing. Oh, and he slams into the wall at the top of the mountain, bangs a curb, hits the wall there. Tries to carry on before just realizing the car is a little damaged and pulls off the racing line and stops his car there. No more action for Mikko Nurmi. He will be out of this event, Jake. In terms of his teammates, though, Joni Häkkinen out front still leading very successfully. Not much gap over Kim Eriksson's teammates and Juuso Hitala. Jari Teptinen also still running at the moment. That moves Matti Kaidasoja up to 5th place there, first non-Black Star entry. Nicholas Helm has managed to get past Carl Fredrik Herzog, who's lost 2 spots there to Mannin and Helm.
Yeah, he has. He's lost quite a bit of ground as well, and that's going to be something that is worrying him a little bit because there is Wilhelm Whitberg there just behind him, just waiting, snapping at the heels to try and make something happen. Difference in lap times there, 1.4 seconds, says there was a lot of difference in terms of the racing going on, so you'll need to try and work to get back up into that group. Of course, he's lost 3.5 seconds over the last couple of laps there, Rachel, so that is a disaster for Herzog, and he knows that he's got to go incredibly defensive here. Whitberg has a fantastic run. There might be damage on that vehicle there of Herzog.
Certainly it could be. We'll of course focus on that one when we can, but a lot of problems so far in this race as Roger Berge here catching Anders Christiansen. It's the battle for the 18th spot in the field, and it will be the 17th spot. This time by the stripe. Mikko Nurmi's car will stay out of position. That 27 car there, Anders Christiansen, sponsored by RaceSpotTV. Of course, you saw their trailer in the pre-show. It was a bit of an action-packed sequence from those guys. But RaceSpotTV, also one of the series sponsors here at the Nordic Challenge, Jake. And they're Norway's leading car glass franchise with over 110 departments spread across the whole country. They replace and repair glass on any road-going vehicle, guaranteed professional customer service and work.
Yeah, and it's fantastic to see how the real world influences the virtual one. I do want to go back, though, and talk about Herzog and the damage that he's got. Look, though, when you look at the vehicle, look at the front right of it. It is bent, it is buckled, and I don't know how that car still has a front right wheel attached to it, but he's continuing on with it. But that is a very, very hefty amount of damage. I am very surprised he's not being called into the pits with a meatball.
Certainly not at this point in time. Of course, have to keep our eyes on whether that one changes. Willy Shanker also big damage there on his left front at the moment on that Jägermeister car. He's going to be passed though by Joel Voxberg here. Voxberg going to put the boot in and try and go past. He's been passed as well by Vastamaki already, so looks like Shanker's hit the wall this time by. We'll have a quick look back if we can find out what happened to Willy Shanker here, Jake, but he's had problems about to get passed by Valkiavi as well. Oh, and it was going down the chase. He clipped the wall. Yes, it was off Skyline. So yes, Willy Shanker there loses the back end, braking for Skyline, tags the inside wall, mounts the curb, goes across the track and hits the outer barriers. Severe damage to the left front corner of that car.
There he is here, and that's really going to affect him in terms of his straight line speed and his cornering ability. Even though Joel Voxberg ran a little bit wide, the only solace for Willy Shanker is if he can stick behind in the toe and use that to his advantage to slingshot himself forward. So for Shanker right now, he's just got to stay calm, stay collected here, and hope that the pit stops maybe might buff something out here. It might take a lot longer on his stop here, Rachel, because of the damage that is happening, as we just also noted that Tor Anders Berven has managed to get past Herzog, who's also a wounded animal.
Here's the Vikings entry there from Carl Frederick Herzog, doing what he can to push forwards here, trying to defend his positions. He's dropping down the order somewhat after that damage he sustained. And this is something we'll see a lot here, Jake, of course. Corner damage, especially the left and right front corners. We'll definitely be seeing a lot of bent cars in this one today because a small mistake, there is nowhere to go. The runoff doesn't exist. This is Bathurst.
It is, and it's public road here, which is one of the issues that you see with this circuit in terms of trying to make everything, you know, a little bit more expanded and opened out. This road is literally carved up into that mountain. There is no margin for error. You can't run off wide and get away with it up there. And when you realise that when you come back down the hill and back into what is a much wider section, which feels a lot more open and expanse, this is one of the more difficult street circuits in the world. And although a lot of street circuits find themselves in a situation where, you know, you got barriers close to them and they have areas of runoff, when you have a street circuit that also incorporates grass and gravel, you know that you're in for a very, very difficult and long afternoon.
It certainly is, and often referred to as the Green Monaco down here in Bathurst, Australia. Mountain Panorama is a fantastic circuit and certainly one of the most unique circuits in the world, Jake. We'll run through your top 10 here after about 18 minutes of our 45 here today. Joni Häkkinen out front with Kim Eriksson and Juuso Hitala in third. Jari Tettinen in the fourth spot with Matti Kaidasoja in fifth. Nicholas Helm in the sixth spot with Markus Manninen seventh. Wilhelm Willeberg in the eighth spot. Tor Anders Berven in ninth. Carl Frederick Herzog in the 10th spot. At the moment, number of retirements, Jake, well, it's, I believe, still at about 6 cars, although we do have Kim Salverson and Matthias Norling 1 lap down.
We do here, and well, we've seen quite a few vehicles run into issues in the early stages of this one. The big pile-up as they headed themselves up towards turn 6, turn 7. That one has really demolished the rear parts of the field, and that's why you see a massive difference between the likes of Jankovic and Christiansen here. The 111 and 27, a gap of about half a minute has developed between those. But one of the advantages of this circuit, Rachel, being so long is the fact that it's 2 minutes 6 in terms of a lap time for the likes of, say, Kim Eriksson. It means that actually lap traffic becomes less of a factor here. Because lap traffic is going to be less of a factor, it means that they don't have to worry so much about having to negotiate what was a very difficult traffic section at Zandvoort, although they do have to worry about the cars that they do have to get past, that they don't catch them on the mountain.
Yeah, they certainly do. Catching cars on a mountain is never going to end in a good situation. Well, this one has certainly taken its toll so far. A total of about 8 cars, Jake, that are a lap down or out of this race. 22 lead lap running, and some of those guys will be caught in about the next 5 or 6 laps, and those include, of course, Patrick Nyborg, Hans Gunnar Hansen, Jonas Häkkinen, and Michael Tonseth. Those cars all within about 20 seconds of your leader now, and times dropping off rapidly. They're all running about 3 to 4 seconds slower than your lead cars, who now, well, Joni Häkkinen last time by a monster lap, a 2:06 from him. Have a look at what his fastest lap was so far. Lap number 3, where the tyres came up to temperature at 2:05.5. That is stonking around this place.
It is, and he was just stretching his legs, I felt, Rachel, there, just to try and get himself moving forward, just to make sure that he had, you know, that fail-safe, shall you say. Didn't have to worry about anything that was happening in terms of the racing action. Schanke is actually down onto pit road right now. I believe he may have collided with Valkjärvi, because Valkjärvi's lost quite a few positions as well in terms of this lap, so not ideal, but, you know, they've dropped quite a few places here over the last few stages, Rachel. Not what they wanted at all.
Well, of course, he was damaged. Willy Schanke had big damage from that wall hit at the Skyline section a couple of laps ago. Could be in for repairs right now for that. He's definitely dropping down the order. And he is inside the fuel window, of course, so this is not a bad time to stop if you have to for a quick couple of 20 seconds or so of repairs. You can make it to the end if you fuel up from here. That's something these drivers will, of course, be paying attention to. Just about hitting the halfway point here at Mount Panorama, Jake, and, well, this one's been very action-packed so far.
It certainly has, and actually word in from Schanke's pit crew is that he's got a few issues with the vehicle. I believe his day is going to be done because of them, and that is not what he wanted in terms of the racing action, because Schanke was running up there. He was -1 only for the day, but it would have been some very solid points to work with for country and for team, shall you say. So not exactly what was needed in terms of that one, but, you know, still has to push on, still has to keep himself going right now, as we see the 74 actually just come down onto lane. Juuso Hietala has come in from 3rd.
He certainly has. First of the Black Star cars heading onto pit road for service. We'll head down. Actually has got some minor damage there, Jake, on the front right. I've just seen his fender is pushed in, so possibly a mistake here from 3rd place runner Juuso Hietala. Uncharacteristic from those boys, but he's just taken fuel. He's down, out and away, and he's back out on track behind some lower running cars, but certainly not in heavy traffic, so good pit stop.
Yeah, not in heavy traffic, so for Hietala, you know, he can now use and attack this section of the mountain to really get back to Wilhelm Wiberg here. And if he can get back to Wiberg, you know, he'll be in a situation where he can use the slipstream down the mountain. Because he'd be able to do that, you know, he will be gaining time on some of his rivals in front of him. If he can get past Kim Eriksson, that will be exactly what he wants here, especially knowing that the pit stop window can be quite wide around here.
It certainly can be wide. Jake, of course, up front. Joni Häkkinen, 4 seconds now over teammate Kim Eriksson here. And while this one is calming down, I think we can safely say pit cycle's wide open now for the next about 20 minutes or so. We'll see the majority of your field head down for fuel only. Not likely to see any tyre stops. Keep an eye on where Matti Kaider-Soja is, of course, first in the non-Black Star cars here. Running 15 seconds adrift of Joni Häkkinen, your leader. Big gap there. The Black Star cars just have something else here, Jake.
They do, and for Black Star, you know, they find themselves in a situation where I don't think they're really being challenged by anyone who's close. So I just see Marcus Hagman even running a little bit off the course. The driver who's 7 laps down on the road, but is just trying to bring that car back and go and get any form of points here to finish inside 75%, shall you say. But, you know, when you're fighting against yourself, nobody can really challenge you in the Porsche category in the Scandinavia region. You know, that says quite a bit, actually. The likes of Häkkinen, Eriksson, Titanen as well. You know, the fact that they can put themselves in a situation where they can say, we are the best of a region of sim racers, which are literally have the greatest depth in the world in terms of who they can bring up and who has that ability to, you know, mince it on and mix it on the best level. Say that to be the best of that is maybe an understatement. Maybe the only people who could really challenge here is the likes of, say, a Klaus Kvekas from the Scandinavia region or a Tommy Hacker.
Certainly could be, of course, as we've seen now, Willy Shanker has retired. Matti Kaitasosha, though, watched him going through the first part of the lap here and sliding all over the place. Of course, he has got right foot damage and rear wing damage, so Kaitasosha is struggling at the moment. He's not been on pit road yet, so we'll have to see when he does. Will he take some repairs or continue going? He has 10 seconds over Nicholas Allen behind him, but that car's been wobbling and sliding. We'll try and have a quick look at him here as he's going to come to the downhill section of the track where downforce is important. Something he does seem to be lacking a little bit with that damaged rear wing. That car is on edge there, Jake. Really struggling for grip here.
It might be just a case of the setup as well, because this is a circuit where, although you've got a really tight and twisty section in the middle, you don't want to be compromising here, Rachel, when it comes to 2 very long straights around this circuit. So it is a setup nightmare, actually, to really build up a Porsche 911 to really work around Mount Panorama. So maybe Kaitasosha's paying the price here with that little bit of damage, with a little bit of issues with the front left, with the rear wing. It now throws the setup out of balance, and that might really run himself into issues here later on. It'll be interesting to see whether he pits this time by.
Certainly some more keep our eyes on here, as we expect he might come to pit road at this point. He would be in the pit window, as he does not. He pulls across to take the normal racing line for the final corner here, Murray, and will just come across the start-finish line normally. What have we got throughout your field? Closing in, Wilberg, Natala, and Toranders Berfen there close. It's Carl Frederick Herzog just behind this group as well. All of them stretched over about 7 seconds here on the track, Jake. But 7 seconds at Bathurst is not a lot, a little mistake could cost you that much. They're all within close sight of one another here. Behind that we have Vastamaki and Voxberg separated by about a second or two, but now Voxberg heads down to pit road where he'll get his service for the number 9.
Yeah, he will. As also Viberg also heads himself down onto the lane, so the number 9 then, and also the number 15 then drop themselves down onto a very short pit road, but a very slow pit road as well. Only 60 kilometers an hour then down onto the boxes. And what you also have to remember is on pit exit, it's a very tight, it's a very narrow pit exit that puts you straight back into the line of fire of going absolutely hell for leather here, Rachel. And that's what will be worrying drivers towards the front of the field if they do get caught in a bit of traffic on exit, because you can get yourself incredibly held up towards the likes of, say, Griffin's Bend.
Certainly can, Jake, as a lot of our front runners now are pitting, some waiting about another 5 to 10 minutes in this one. We are really actually just about 5 minutes of fuel remaining for a lot of these guys, about to hit the 28-minute mark of racing so far. Look at the 111 and the 70 here. Danny Jakovic and Timo Valkejavi, we talked about him earlier on, and they're fighting side by side here in the run down towards second corner. Valkejavi gets through, no problems for him. Moving up a spot there into the 14th position. Of course, qualified in 10th, he dropped back very early on, Jake, but he's recovering slowly but surely.
He is here, and it's a very easy overtake, shall you say, on Dali Jankovic here for the driver of Timo Valkejavi. Valkejavi's had a couple of spins, couple of moments here, and that is going to be something to worry about. Leaders in, though. Heikkinen is onto the lane, as is Ericsson here, as is Jerry Titanen. So all 3 of them have decided it's time to box at exactly the same time. And the last time these cars all came at the same time, we had one end up on its roof, Rachel.
Certainly did, so we'll keep an eye for any teammates just coming through the first corner. Hell corner there. No teammates this time by. I think they're actually okay, as Kim Eriksson and Jari Tetanen will come off pit road in completely clear air. I'm sure they'll be a little bit sore after the last time as to that teammate-on-teammate incident they enjoyed at Zandvoort the first round. But Häkkinen still good clearance over his teammates there. Once again, dominating the race, Jake, like the first round. Will anybody be able to bring this fight to him? And if they are, will it be one of his teammates or someone else?
I doubt we'll see a fight, really, Rachel, because the way that we've been seeing this team work here, the likes of Heikkinen, the likes of Ericsson, the likes of Titanen, the likes of Hietala, is that they like to make sure that they get the best possible result. They're a team that works together. There's no fractions and there's no divides here. There's not going to be a case here to be made, Rachel, that this team is very similar to, like, say, a Mercedes, where you had Hamilton versus Rosberg and the two hated each other's guts. This isn't a team like that, Rachel. They all work together, they all support each other, and I doubt that we will ever see here in this series a case where they look to actively fight each other to try and get themselves through into a better results in terms of the team hierarchy.
Absolutely, this team seeming to definitely work well together in this one. A lot like the Vikings team, of course, they do very well in a lot of the endurance events. Perhaps this shorter format, not quite to their liking, Jake, but we've seen some fantastic results from them. Of course, very recently in the DGFX Endurance Championship, the Team Vikings ran incredibly well in the GT category in that series. Looking right here, though, we have got some closeness between Helm and Manninen as they head down into the chase here, being followed by Juuso Hietala. Things definitely very, very close. There might be a move here by the 22. He's going to die for pit road, so not as close as I thought, but it's one way out of traffic.
It is one way out of traffic, and Manninen has come down onto the lane. Helm came down onto the lane a little bit earlier on that lap before, actually. He dropped himself down in, so it'll be interesting to note where Manninen will come out. I expect him to be about 3 seconds off the pace here in terms of where he is in terms of being on circuit. It's also worth noting that Hietala lost a lot of time compared to Jerry Titanen, about 4 seconds when he came down in earlier and got held up.
Certainly was, of course, as that will impact his race as it progresses, but he has to roll with the punches, Jake. It's what happens in motor racing, and you'll just have to deal with it, especially a track like this one, where passing is at such a premium. Track position is king. 3 cars from Black Star up front have gotten away with no major problems, but Tettenen's been chased here by, actually that's a lapped car he's just gotten through on. Marcus Manninen, though, and Juuso Hietala still relatively close, but traffic has split them up somewhat now. Kai de Soja, he's lost a lot from this one. He's back where he qualified, 6th place. Nicholas Helm, quite a distance back from him. 2 cars very close here, of course, is the likes of Tor Anders Bevin and Carl Fredrik Herzog here. Carl Fredrik Herzog, the 7, about to make a big move, the Team Vikings car, about to try and attack the RaceSpotTV machine of Tor Anders Bevin. Going through the cutting there, up, they'll climb the mountain. Herzog's car was damaged earlier on. In fact, he has got right foot damage there, Jake, but seemingly managed to rally back from that damage. He seems to have managed to put a handle on how it feels with the car, and he's pushing.
There's a great adaptability there from Carl Fredrik Herzog here, and he'll be looking to try and use that adaptability to bring himself back into the fight then with the driver of Tor Anders Bevin. Of course, both of them came down onto the lane at exactly the same time last lap, so that's something to keep in mind, to keep in note here. And the problem for Herzog is when he gets to this section where it's all a lot of lefts and rights, the issue he has is he doesn't have the same vehicle. And actually, there's a car spun in front of him there. That's lap traffic there in the form of Kjell Salvensen here, who runs into a lot of issues in the 365. A nice little point turn to go through, but holds up the driver and Marcus Hagman there. Doesn't really matter. Both of them are lapped. Vasta Markey then will have 2 to pass then for the price of 1.
Certainly will do, of course, as the opportunity here in the draft. Running down the Conrod straight, but not going to be close enough there for Carl Fredrik Herzog. He has to sit back and wait behind Tor Anders Bevin there as they'll come through the chase down towards the final corner under the Armorall Bridge here. Both of them, I believe, have pitted at this point, so not going to see anyone ducking off there to deal with things. We'll keep an eye on them as they head through the start-finish line here, and we'll get up towards Hell Corner, the first corner again on lap number 17 this time. Will we see a good run by Herzog? Can he get the draft here on Bevin and get through? Not the best run off the corner there, Jake, but it will do at this point in time. Will he close in or not? Not looking likely. And you know, it's funny, we've mentioned both the 2 of the series sponsors there being on 2 of those cars, RaceSpotTV, of course, and Team Vikings. But the one we haven't mentioned, of course, is CU. CU is a Norwegian company located in the south of the country, and CU engineers and delivers complete surveillance solutions to state buildings, grocery stores, small businesses, industry and private housing, with a high focus on new technology, preparing them for the future. You can see them, of course, if you look up cu.as. But as we look forwards now, still fighting there with Herzog and Bevin. on the racetrack. And the other two series sponsors, RaceSpotTV and Team Vikings. Behind them, Voxburg running solo. Vastamaki also on his own at the moment, as Learning has gained a few spots since the carnage of earlier on. Bigger losers though, Team of Valkyarvi, he's not recovered so far. He's in 14th there, Jake. Not gaining much time, although he is slowly catching Lenning.
Yeah, and Andbjorn Learning here, last lap time by was of 2:09.5. Difference for Valkyarvi, 1.2 seconds there from the Glacier Racing Machine. So he is building that gap back down here, and there's a bit of traffic, not even traffic, but another driver in front in the form of Joel Voxburg here, who is starting to struggle just a little bit. So they're all bringing themselves back in together here around 12th, 13th, 14th. And these are crucial points here for the team's championships. I mean, we talk about the team of Valkyarvi for Finland here. May only be in P14 right now, but P14 is still a decent haul of points.
Certainly can be a huge haul of points, as they're going to be working on Voxburg here. Learning gets a great run there going down Conrad. Can he get round? He does. He gets a very wide run. Voxburg just gets out of the way for the two of them. Through comes Valkyarvi as well there, Jake. Voxburg almost giving up at that point.
Yeah, I think there might be something maybe a little bit amiss with that vehicle right now. You can see it's just struggling to get the power back up here. And the last lap time was a 2:11.4. Worth noting here, he's just missed the apex by about 6 foot, maybe 8 foot there into the corner of 2:16. That last time by, so heavy damage on Joel Voxburg then. He is struggling with that vehicle, and there might be something underlying, like maybe suspension damage.
Certainly could be suspension damage on that car from the amount of corner impacts we've seen in this race. I wouldn't be surprised at this point in time. The gap at the very front, Joni Heikkinen, 2.6 seconds over teammate Kim Eriksson, with behind them 8 seconds back Jari Tättönen and Jussa Hetala in the 4th spot, having swapped spots with Tättönen there. 6 seconds adrift. Matti Kaidasoja in the 5th spot still. Actually managing to hold on here in 5th. 22 seconds back from your leader, but making good time. He's ahead of Nicholas Helm once again. Good 16-second gap there. That one should last. As we're coming up on about 7 minutes remaining in this one, Jake, at all.
That's Herzog there, heavy into the wall then as he headed down towards the forest elbow. That's a heavy one down into the Big Dipper, and for Herzog, that is a race ender.
Absolutely, replay coming up for you now as he just slams the wall a few times there. Bing bang bosh. Fredrik Herzog, Team Vikings will be done for this race. That is not how you Bathurst, Jake.
It is not how you Bathurst, but what you have to remember is that is an incident that has accumulated up over a number of incidents today, Rachel. And you could argue that maybe that wouldn't have happened had there not have been damage already to the vehicle. It's a battle of attrition. It's a war when you come to Bathurst. And for that driver there in the form of what was going to be Herzog, that is a massive race ender, and one that you can pretty much attribute blame onto previous incidents for it to get to the car in such a state that it is.
Certainly is, of course, as... Wow, the guy's getting a little bit slippery in his late running here. Some great performances, but unfortunately some very solid walls, and people haven't invented no clip yet. So problems for these guys on track as Bathurst claiming more and more cars here. 17 cars remaining on the lead lap, and that won't be for long as 2 cars just in front of your leaders are Roger Berge and Anders Christiansen. The 2 of them just about 2 minutes back from your leader, so we didn't get caught in about 5 or 6 seconds. As Joni Heikkinen is still doing 206, so Jake, fantastic speed. 22 and the 70 at the moment. Those guys are running up in the 11th and 12th spot. That's Löning and Valkyarvi. Talked about those two before. Valkyarvi here on the charge, trying to get back to where he qualified, which if he can make this spot, that will be it. Actually, he'll be one spot off it, but closing in. So perhaps not as bad a day as it could have been for him.
No, certainly not. And well, he's looking to try and really make this push here on Andbjorn Learning here. Has been closing that gap down time after time, although The last lap by only closed down 8 thousandths of a second, so next to nothing here. Has been stuck behind for just a little bit here as he now looks to attack this downhill section through Skyline now. Heads through this next right-hander, the big dip here, this big left-hander, which really sucks you in and tries to spit you out then on the exit. And now the run towards the Forest Elbow. A small kink right, you have to hit the brakes and then make sure that you are tentative here as you head through the Forest Elbow. Be careful on the exit, there is still no runoff area to work. And you know what there, Rachel? Timo Valkjärvi is in the tow, and if he gets a good enough run here and really utilises it, I wouldn't be surprised to see him move down into the chase.
Yeah, certainly will keep prize on this one as Valkjärvi here. Great head of steam behind the car of Löning into the chase. Not going to have time though, could look for the inside, but will not go just yet. May go for the final corner here. Good run through the chase, but it's not getting a big advantage in terms of speed there, Jake, off the corner. Faster in, but about the same speed off.
Yeah, and that's becoming an issue here, and maybe that can be put down to the damage that's already there. I am looking at Joni Heikkinen right now being incredibly held up by Anders Christiansen right now. If he's not careful, he'll lose maybe quite a bit of time here to the driver Kim Eriksson just behind him. Of course, that gap was 2.6. Finally gets around the driver of Christiansen. Now needs to get behind the driver of Roger Berger and will make that happen here. And it was done in such a way there, Rachel, that Berger was not going to lose time. Just kept his nose in, kept the car straight. Now here comes Eriksson then, who will take one. Berger will have to get out of the way here for the second and takes an incredibly wide line to make sure that happens. But look at the gap. It's come right back down again.
Certainly is. That gap is right down at the moment, and it's certainly one we could see transforming into a pass here in very short order. Valkjärvi there, very strong right now. Löning definitely making more and more mistakes, but needs to try and find exit speed here at this point, Jake, as they'll come through. Climb up the mountain through the park and towards Skyline. Now they will come in just a couple of corners time. A big drop after Skyline, a zigzag down the mountain towards the Dipper. Big braking zone here over the crest of Skyline. Down they'll come, slaloming through the chicane there, down towards Dipper. Advantage definitely Valkjärvi here, really closing in down the mountain. Needs a great run through Forest Elbow. Can he get the run he needs? Big entry speed. Can he get it out the corner as well? It's not looking big enough. Again, losing out, Löning fast off the corners, Jake.
Yeah, he is here. Now, it might come down to a point of setup here. It might also come down to the fact that Valkjärvi's front two tyres are both exposed to the air. That's going to be slowing down the rate that wheel actually turns on the circuit here as it tries to put the power down. And again, Valkjärvi losing a lot of time here to Ansbjørn Løning here, who's just kept himself quiet, made sure that he's kept that gap very safe, very secure, hasn't made too many risks here in terms of what has been going on. It's also worth noting there's another battle on circuit here, Rachel, for P6. Markku Manninen is actually closing that gap down to Nicholas Helm here right now. That gap down to just 1 second.
Certainly is, and we'll have to see if he can make advantage of this one and get through. But again, the exit speed just isn't there. Can't do anything with this one. 14 cars remaining on your lead lap here once everyone is said and done. And about 2 minutes left on the clock. In fact, 2 minutes 54 showing on my clock here, Jake. Which means Joni Heikkinen, your driver who is leading, will get to the line before we get to 2 minutes, if I'm calculating this one correctly. Which means we have 2 more laps to go after this one.
Eventually we do here in this race, and we're going to see Heikkinen right now around this final corner of Murray's here. Sometimes take this one for granted because it's the end of the lap and you run out of asphalt really sometimes before you get there. There will be 2 laps to go here in this event, Rachel. There won't be enough time for that driver Joni Heikkinen to bring it back, but that gap down to a second here, maybe under a little bit of pressure here from Eriksson, maybe looking to try and prove himself because he did a 2:05.6 that last time by. That's just a 10th off of his fastest lap of the race so far here, Rachel. So that's a really, really big indication that Eriksson is really pushing this one to make a mistake out of Heikkinen, his teammate.
Certainly is, and that is a big surprise here at the end here. Eriksson really putting on the booster rockets here at the end of the race here at Bathurst. Must have found the kangaroo setting in that Porsche because he is hopping along.
He's doing a very good job of things right now. Kim Eriksson maybe looking to try and make up for the incident that he had earlier on at Monza. We have talked about that, but for Ericsson now rounding Sulman Park, rounding now up this next section of corners here, McPhillamy Park, this next section of left-handers, before you get to the top of the hill, and then you start your descent down. Maybe there are big team orders in place here. Don't want to risk anything here to cost yourself a 1, 2, 3, 4, another Black Star lockout here. But again, you can just see just how they run themselves 1 and 2 for the moment, doing a very good job of keeping things with the status quo.
Certainly looks that way, of course, and this one could be a very tight run to the end. Lap times last time by 2:05.6 from Ericsson. He's shifting here. That's about 6-7 tenths of a second faster than your leader Häkkinen. This could be a late race upset for them, as we'll have one more lap to go. This time across the line, as we're on about 40 seconds right now. We'll keep our eyes on how this one will play out, Jake, of course. Getting now to the line. We'll have a look at the play clock as this one runs across. So exactly how long there is as soon as we come across that line. Under the bridge we go, the Super Cheap Autos line, and 18 seconds remaining. That's how close they were. Now we have final lap at Bathurst, and it's 2 of Black Star Racing's entries who are racing first and second within a second on the final lap of a race here at Bathurst after 45 minutes. Joni Häkkinen, Kim Eriksson in first and second, 13 seconds adrift. Teammates Jari Tättönen and Juuso Hietala running in the third and fourth spot, with Matti Kaidasoja actually catching up to Juuso Hietala there.
Yeah, he's making this big catch here, and well, you know, now's the case to be made here for the driver of Kaidasoja, because you look at those lap times here. Tyler has been dropping off, maybe saving right now, but the eyes have to turn here, Rachel, towards Ericsson, towards Häkkinen right now. Ericsson not able to do enough here. Häkkinen has started to turn on the after boosters right now and just hold himself in station, although he does clip the wall ever so slightly coming out of Sulman Park, so there is a little bit of issue then for the driver of Häkkinen. He is really motoring and pushing here, and maybe it's a little bit of friendly camaraderie, but I think Ericsson right now is too far back and would need a mistake.
Certainly would at this point in time, so we'll keep an eye on them as they run down the mountain now. Past the hardest part of the lap there, just Forest Elbow ready to go here for this final run. Can Joni Häkkinen hold off Kim Eriksson right now? Through Forest Elbow they go, and Eriksson doesn't get the run he needs. Not big enough, the gap is too wide. And they'll come down the Conrad straight for the final time, and it's looking pretty safe for Joni Häkkinen, who just has the chase to contend with, and Murray. And this race will be his. And a second victory in a row for him and his Black Star team. Breaking down into the chase now. The big braking zone, the end of Conrad there. Very tricky braking point for these cars as they'll come through the chase now. Just the final corner to go. Under the Armour All Bridge for the last time they will come. Joni Häkkinen through that final corner. Teammate just behind him. Joni Häkkinen takes the flag here at Bathurst for round number 2 of the Nordic Challenge. Kim Eriksson will roll home in second. Jari Tättönen coming home now through the final corner for the third spot. A fantastic team podium there for Black Star Racing. Juuso Hietala comes home in the fourth spot. Matti Kaidasoja looking for that final 5th position, Jake.
Yeah, he is, but it's not going to be close enough in terms of trying to get there. Helm's going to hold off Mannanen as well. It's worth noting, though, Valkjärvi all over the back right now here. The driver of Andbjørn Lønning here needs to find something now. Heads himself through the right hand, and now the Forest Elbow. And Valkjärvi's got a now or never decision to make here, because he's been unable to make the move in the slipstream. Maybe now needs to be his chance here to really make something happen, but you can see just how much more that driver of Andbjørn Lønning has here. And Lønning struggling here. Lønning actually out of fuel on the final lap there, Rachel. Game over. Through goes Valkjärvi.
He does. Wow, what an ending there. Valkjärvi getting that spot finally there over Lønning. That was something we didn't expect to see, but he made the mistake. That's exactly when it mattered. So Valkjärvi there. Oh, I feel bad for him, Jake, but he still will just about finish the race here as he crawls through the final corners. Can he actually hold on? Will he drop another spot?
I expect him to drop a spot, and you can see they're going behind. At least one, maybe Joel Voxberg then will go past. That's one position. The only other driver to make a decision here in the final lap will be Dali Jankovic. Jankovic a fair way away then from Andrew Loning, who just creeps over the line then. And that was pretty much taking the fuel as far as you can possibly go.
13th place there. Andrew Loning just making it across the line. Well, Jake, we'll run through your final race results now. We have them. That was a hair raiser.
It certainly was here, and well, you know, when you look at the battling that is going on, Heikkinen made it a little bit closer than it was. You could argue there at the end there, Rachel had the race completely sold up, and well, he sold up shop and he made sure that he got what he was worth.
He certainly did. Well, looking at the results there, Joni Heikkinen coming home with the win here today. Kim Eriksson in second with Jari Tatanen in the third spot. Juuso Hitala in fourth with Matti Kaidasoja in fifth. Nicholas Helm in the sixth spot. Markku Manninen in seventh. Wilhelm Mulberg in the eighth spot. Tor Anders Bevan in ninth. Jonas Vastamäki in 10th. Rest of those results up on your screen as it's Teemu Valkeavi in 11th. Joel Voxberg, Andrew Loning and Dali Jankovic in 14th and last car on the lead lap. Like I said, rest of those positions on your screens, folks. We're going to take a very short break. We'll be right back in a moment with post-race interviews, so do not go anywhere.
Åh, vad tråkigt. Det här måste du fixa på en gång, annars blir det dyrt.
Steinsprut får du uansett hvordan du kjører. Ris Bilglass fikser steinsprut kostnadsfritt ved kasko eller delkasko. Ring 09009 eller besøk bilglass.no.
Welcome back to the Nordic Challenge here on RaceSpotTV. Post-race coverage with myself, Richard Whiteford, and Jake Sperry. Well, first up, we're going to talk to the second place finisher tonight. Kim Eriksson came home in second place behind teammate Joni Heikkinen. Kim, so close to catching your teammate there at the end. Did you have anything left in the tank?
Yeah, I think maybe 1 or 2 laps before pit stops, I finally sort of it clicked for me how to drive this track, and I started to really make some time. And after the pit stop, I catched up to Joni on the pit stops, and then just could keep up with him and maybe gain a little bit of time even. And I think with a few more laps I could have done it maybe, or at least challenged him.
Certainly is. Well, very good result nonetheless. Second place, another fantastic one for you after another good result at Zandvoort the first time out. This series is suiting your team.
Yes, indeed. The Porsche is absolute blast to drive, and we enjoy it a lot and practice together, and I think that's how we are able to all of our team to be so fast here.
Well, it's certainly working. Thank you very much for joining me for now, Kim Eriksson. Second place here tonight. Anybody you'd like to give a shout out to before you go?
Shout out to the team, of course, Black Star Racing, and our sponsors, Joel Real Timing and Nukkarepo Graphic Design. Fantastic.
Thanks for joining us, Kim Eriksson. Well, standing by with his teammates at the moment, his teammates Jari Tatinen and Juuso Hitala is Jake Sperry.
Sperry and Juuso, well, 2 races which ended up today with 3rd and 4th. Could have been a little bit more, though. Let's just talk about the opening starts with you first, Jerry. I mean, you started in P5. It's a very difficult circuit. You've got to make your way up through what is a very difficult section. But, of course, when you've only got your teammates in front of you, is there the pseudo team orders that you don't fight your teammate?
Oh, no, at all.
Not at all. Okay. It's worth just pointing that one out on there because, you know, sometimes you could say even though that they stay line astern, you know, sometimes, you know, not making a move is completely different to, say, making a move and trying to not make it happen. But, Jare, you know, you found yourself an advantage in the pit stops against your teammate Juuso today. Juuso came in a little bit early. For you, you were about 3 laps later here today. How was pit stops for you? Of course, it's a very narrow pit road. How difficult is it to get down onto pit road here at Bathurst?
It was actually quite okay because I practiced it a lot, so I pretty much know what was going to happen.
Certainly was, and well, Juuso, you know, started to fall away a little bit after the pit stop window, had a little bit of worries behind from Matti Kaida-Soja there from Vendaval Sim Racing behind, but, you know, 4th place today. Are you happy with the result?
Yeah, I'm happy considering that I broke my car before the pit stop and I had no still time speed and I had like 5 to 10 degrees of dead zone to the left, which makes the track pretty interesting.
Certainly does, and well, in a week's time, you're heading over to the Nürburgring for the combined GSUM-Strecke layout, so a very long race coming up next, a circuit which has very many corners, as is very much known for you here, Juuso. So how do you fancy your chances? Do you feel that maybe Black Star, with the pedigree that they have in VLN, have a great chance again at the next race?
Yeah, I think so. Especially me and Kim, since we have driven quite a lot, and I trust that our teammates will be fast here too.
It certainly will be then. So Jari Taitinen and Juuso Hietala then finishing home in 3rd and 4th place, Rachel.
Thank you very much, Jake, for that. As let me just juggle some people around at this point in time. As next, we're going to get a chance to talk to Wilhelm Wiberg. Wilhelm,
Yes.
that was a tough one.
Yeah. It's always tough at Bathurst, but it was fun. It was great.
Very much so, of course. Traffic a big difficulty in this race. Was the track or the traffic harder?
I didn't run into that much traffic. I had a few standstills along the way out of the wall.
I think we might actually be losing you for a moment, audio-wise, Willem. Can you hear us okay?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay, do go on, sorry, you seem to be cutting out.
Okay, sorry. No, I was just saying that the hard part for me was staying off the walls in this race, but I'm really satisfied with actually completing that. And you pass a few guys just doing that, so nice.
It certainly was. Well, any sponsors you'd like to give a shout out to after this one?
Sorry, one more time.
Any sponsors you'd like to say anything about?
I think it was a really nice event. So well done to everyone involved. It was good attendance and lots of good drivers. So I see it as a big yes.
Well, fantastic. Thanks for joining us, Wilhelm Wiberg, who came home today in the, I believe, 8th spot. So congratulations. Right, next up, Jake Sperry standing by with Jonas Vastamaki right now. Jake?
Jonas Vastamaki coming home overall in what is 10th position, 11th on the grid. And well, Jonas, early goings, well, there was a big incident behind. Wasn't sure whether you were collected up near it at all on the first lap. Just talk us through what you were seeing, maybe in your rearview mirrors or in front of you.
Well, I didn't look on my rearview mirrors at all, but I had an incident with Teemu in the first lap. He said to me that he felt his front tires were locking up during the climb to the mountain hoe, so he changed his brake balance to the rear and spun in front of me, so got a fair bit of damage to my front right tire.
Certainly was, and it was all about managing that front tire during the race here. How difficult is it to adapt to a damaged vehicle? Of course, I mean, you talk about, say, in endurance racing, you can drop into a vehicle which maybe isn't 100%, but when you're driving around with a vehicle that doesn't feel 100%, how do you prepare for that? How do you know how to drive a vehicle that isn't feeling the healthiest, shall we say?
Well, it's basically just building the confidence again, just trying the limits, try to find where the car is, what the car is capable of doing after the incident. I had no practice that afternoon for this track because I've been practicing for Finnish Sim Racing Championship only, so the track didn't have as much grip as I was used to anyway, so I wasn't pushing in the early stages, and after a while I got used to the damage and the lower grip levels, so it was fine.
Certainly was, and well, in a week's time you're heading over to the Nürburgring, and with so much practice and preparation in terms of what Finland does, in terms of you look at the Finnish Sim Racing Championship, you look at, say, this race of Vikings that's going on right now, and the Nordic Challenge, feel that maybe, you look at your sort of area is the most prepared compared to, say, any other country?
Well, at least I'm not putting that much effort to this series before Finnish Sim Racing Championship is over because I'm on the bubble of qualifying to the finals. This was a lucky event because it happened to overlap with our schedule as well, so I could practice for this track very well, so that's why I had a nice result.
Certainly was then, and of course, finishing home in 10th position. Anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Shout outs to Rexy for making this awesome livery I had during the race.
Awesome.
And all friends and family watching the broadcast.
Short and sweet there. Jonas Vastamaki then coming home in 10th position. Rachel, who you stood by with?
Well, finally, Jake, we've got, I believe, Carl Frederick Herzog's here with us, series organizer and driver from Team Vikings. That was eventful today, Carl.
Yeah, I hit the wall twice. Once I got some damage, and the second time it was game over, so that was it.
It certainly was, but a very busy event here at Bathurst. Half the grid finished on the lead lap. The Mountain 8 the rest.
Yeah, there was an unfortunate incident on the first lap in the midfield, I think. And a lot of cars having their own troubles later. But we always expected it. It's a very, very difficult track.
It certainly is a very, very difficult track, of course. And, well, this place has... the walls have no give, and there is no runoff, of course. That's what saw to your car in the end, but a promising performance before that point. If we focus on the positives here, your car looked quick today.
Yeah, I found speed in qualification, was happy with that, and also I think early on in the race. So I just have to fix my mistakes and then we're good to go.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us, Carl Frederick Herzog, who came today a little down the order in 22nd place.
And thank you, RaceSpot, for hosting this race again.
Absolutely, thank you so much for having us. And, well, Jake, with that, we are going to wrap things up for tonight. You've been watching round number 2, of course, of the Nordic Challenge, brought to you by Team Vikings, CU and RaceSpotTV. So thanks for watching, and catch us same time next week.